you're sewing those together.
When people ask us who we are, we tell them we're problem solvers, opportunity creators, and change makers. We are Rotary. Around the world, our network of 1.4 million neighbors, friends, and leaders volunteer their skills and resources to solve issues and address community needs. Take action with us. Find out more at rotary.org/action.
I was completely paralyzed at age 2. It was 1949 in the segregated South, and people like me didn't receive adequate health care from white hospitals. We were usually seen in the basements, if we were seen at all. Luckily, my mother took me to the Infantile Paralysis Center at John A. Andrew Memorial Hospital on Tuskegee Institute's college campus. It was one of the only places where black polio patients, like me, could receive care. And it wasn't just satisfactory care, no, we were treated with dignity. The halls bustled with black nurses, with treatment provided by black doctors. We ate warm and hearty meals, slept in soft beds, and swam in a treatment pool. Luxuries many people couldn't afford back then. I spent the better part of a decade being treated there. And thanks to my caretakers, I now walk the halls of an historic courthouse in Montgomery, Alabama, a courthouse that played a significant role in the Civil Rights Movement. Both the Infantile Paralysis Center and this courthouse have taught me that all people should be treated with dignity and respect. My name is Myron Thompson. I am a United States District Judge, and I am a polio survivor.
Thank you guys for being here and joining us this morning to learn about Rotary. I'm going to hand this over now to Alan Thompson, who is our Sergeant at Arms, and he's going to run us through a little bit of a business piece of our meeting. Thanks for joining.
All right, so first, Felix is going to lead us in prayer. Please join me in prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for this day, and thank you for the opportunity to gather together as the Golden Triangle Rotary Club. We ask that you open our hearts and minds today to learn new things, to take out into the community, to serve others above ourselves. We ask you to bless all of our visitors here today and welcome them. We ask you to bless those who are struggling, especially those who are struggling from a devastating storm, all those who are struggling in strife across the world. We ask blessings over them, all their families, those who are suffering. We ask a special blessing today for Tim's mother, who passed away this week. We ask that she is now with you in heaven in her eternal glory. We ask you to pray for all those who are serving our country, and bless all those who are serving our country at home and abroad, those in the military, and those here in our community as first responders. We ask you to bless the food in which we are about to partake in the hands that prepared it. In your holy name, amen. Amen. Tim's going to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. All right, everybody can be seated, please. All right, do we have any brags or blessings this morning? For those of you that are visitors, we do a lot of weird things in Rotary, but it's all for the greater good. You saw me selling tickets, or might have seen me selling tickets on the way in. We run a 50-50 lottery every week, and the proceeds of that go to our foundation to help us fund our charities. But the other thing is Rotary's motto is service above self, and so one of the things we don't typically do is do a lot of self-promotion. But you can do that for a small fee. So brags and blessings is your opportunity to tell us something wonderful that's happened in your life, but we also ask you to donate to do that. So, Steve, what do you have?
So this past weekend, my mother celebrated her 90th birthday. Still healthy and doing well. So.
All right.
Just for a quick reminder, this microphone is for our live stream feed. You're not supposed to be hearing the microphone. It's not amplifying us here. Sorry for the confusion, but this is for the live stream feed.
You mean I'm just that loud? All right. Any other brags and blessings this morning? Joe.
So, my daughter Zoe, who y'all have heard about before, but she is now officially back in Spain and started teaching again on Tuesday. Excuse me, the first. So she is back over there doing her thing.
All right.
And safe and has a good place to live.
Any others?
So I'm very fortunate if you have a teenager. My son's 18, and he actually, here in October, way before deadline, has all of his college applications in.
All right. So with that, I'm going to move quickly through our committee reports. We'll start with service. Edward.
Well, good morning, everyone. Hello, fellow Rotarians, and to our guests as well. Good morning. Glad to see each of you here. Service above self. This is the reason why we're here. Before I go into our fourth quarter events, service opportunities, let me do a quick recap of some of our third quarter events. And during our, during our third quarter events, we started the month off in July with the Beat the Heat initiative, where we're able to go out to the senior citizens and deliver Meals on Wheels. So I want to thank you for all those who were able to come out and join that endeavor. In addition to that, we also had a blood drive in July as well. So thank you for that. So that was in July. Then we were able to serve in August. In August, we did the Hot Hatch Chili Run, and there we were able to be more of a street patrol for the fun run. And then in September, special thanks to Ms. Deanna for serving well. We were able to partner with our international service project, Little by Little, and we were able to put together a basket for them for their fundraiser. So special kudos for you. And finally, throughout the entire year, you guys were able to do the grass cutting. So thank you very much. For the rest of my time, I'm going to really quickly hand it over to Brandy.
Thank you. Good morning, guys. Just really fast, we have a few projects that are coming up. Our last day to bring your candy for the Christ Haven Fall Festival is going to be October the 17th. So if you could bring that, we are also going to be participating in their Fall Festival, which is stuck to the paper, but it is going to be October the 26th at Christ Haven, and that's going to be from 9 to 1:30. There is 2 different shifts that you can sign up for. It's a super fun day. It's kind of like a trunk or treat, and we just pass out candy to all the cute little kids. The third thing that I have for you is our fall project for serving our seniors. That is going to be moved to November the 2nd. That is going to be from 9 o'clock until 12 o'clock or until we're finished. This is a family fun project, so feel free to bring your children or your family. Do like I do, drag them all along with you, teach them all about service above self. And then last, we've talked a few times, and we did participate last time with Wreaths Across America. This year it's going to be on December the 14th. The 2 different cemeteries that we will get to choose from is either Borland or Mount Gilead. And this year we are going to sign up ourselves. Last year we did it through a couple of nonprofits in Keller. This year we're going to do it through the Rotary, and all of the wreaths cost $17 a piece. But because we are nonprofit, we will get $5 back per wreath. So that's going to be a really good fundraiser, help add to our scholarship money or a project that we are going to do. So be sure and get ready and look for more information on that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Harry, do you have anything for the foundation real quick?
Nothing new today.
All right. I will skip over our membership committee report, since that's the entire program today. Are there any other announcements, real quick? All right, St. Felix, I will turn it to Ken.
Don't forget Manny G's after work today.
Oh yes, our weekly happy hour at Manny G's, starting around 5 o'clock until the last Rotarian standing. So, okay, with that, I'm going to turn the floor over to Felix. Thank you, Ellen. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to Rotary and welcome to Membership Day. Today is an exciting day for us, and today is Membership Day. What does that mean? Today we're going to tell you a little bit about Rotary, Rotary in general as an organization, and also a little bit about our club and what we do. We're excited to have you here as our guests. So the first thing we're going to do is meet you and meet all of our guests. So I'd like the Rotarian members who brought a guest to please stand with their guest and introduce them. So if you didn't come, if you saw us on Facebook and you didn't come with a particular Rotarian, raise your hand and let us know, and we'll have you introduce yourself. But we'll start with Ken. We'll put you on the spot in the back, and you can introduce. You have a guest you want to introduce?
Well, I didn't bring them. I just happened to sit by them. These are Christy's really good friends. They're friends of mine as well now. Dave and Nikki Martin. She works at the hospital up here. He works for Bell Helicopter. This is.
So yeah, Ken knows Joe as well. Joe McGlinchey is here with us. He's worked with us a few times in the past at different companies and has just recently joined us at RF Finance as well. And he runs our servicing and collections organization. Awesome. Who's next? Joe.
Good morning, guys. So this is Monica and Anna Tell. They're also Eric's guests with me. They both work for Lockheed, and we've known them through Scouts for a great while. And now I get to embarrass Monica because it's her birthday. So everybody say happy birthday!
All right, real quick. Ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Monica. Happy birthday to you. Awesome. See how well everybody listened to? We got the Monica, we got the name and the birthday.
You did very
Let's see
well.
who caught it. We
I
got
like it.
Very good. Awesome.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Edward, and this morning I had the opportunity to bring two awesome guys. This is Drew Cuffey, who also lives in Keller. We work together in Insperity, and then in addition to that is Paul as well, Paul Millington. He lives in Keller area as well. He just joined us recently to Insperity. So these are two awesome guys who live in the community, and they serve in the community as well. So thank you very much for being my guest.
Good morning. My name is Justin Walker. I work with Keller ISD. This is my good friend Jeremy Harris. He's with Northwest ISD. Prior to that, he was in CTE at Keller with me, and then he was the director of Student Information Systems. We had to bring Steve. Steve's not here today, but Steve is the only Northwest guy here, so I had to bring my buddy. So we'll have two Northwest guys in here. One good thing, great thing that's happening in Jeremy's life coming up is he'll be at this meeting, but he will not be at the next few meetings because he has his firstborn child coming on Tuesday.
There you go. I think this next guy doesn't need an introduction, but Jeff, you want to introduce him?
Sure, I will introduce him because I sat down next to him apparently. That's how this goes. So,
John officially invited me.
Okay.
So.
there we go.
John, do you want to
John,
introduce
you
him?
stand up and introduce him. Yeah.
I think, like you said, he's very famous, so a lot more famous than I am.
Infamous.
Famous or infamous?
Famous. But Rick Westphal. I know. All right. He's joined BLK, and so I introduced or wanted him to go ahead and be part of the club, and invited him today. So he's an educational planner for us.
Awesome. He's also the former superintendent of Keller ISD, Dr. Rick Westphal, and so and honored as a Citizen of the Year for Rotary as well. So we'll tell you a little bit about that. All right, next.
I'm Eric James, for those of you that know. With me today is Amber Hall, as well as Kyle and Tiffany Boyd. Many of you may know them from their activity in the Scout Troop that was part of our charter, as well as the Venturing Group.
Awesome.
And I'm not Citizen of the Year.
Not yet.
And I'd like to welcome my friend George Taylor. Stand up, George.
All right.
So we've done a lot of things together, and I think he'd be a great addition.
Did we catch everybody? All of our guests? Fantastic. All right. Awesome. One more?
No, for me.
One more for
We
you.
have 193. Somebody didn't grab their number. So if you haven't received your breakfast yet, pop up there and see at the register because that might be yours.
It's Scott. We knew it. Troublemaker. All righty. Well, again, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us this morning. We want this presentation to be interactive, so I can guarantee that my fellow Rotarians in here will be interactive because that's kind of the name of the game in this club. We're a pretty fun group. We enjoy each other's company, and we're looking forward to sharing with you a little bit about the foundation of Rotary and how things got started. So just to talk about that for a moment, Rotary started with really humble beginnings. It started community-based. So it was founded by a gentleman named Paul Harris, an attorney in Chicago, got together with a few folks and started this group. And he had an idea that he would get together with people from diverse backgrounds, but they would get together and build friendships and make connections. And if you think about it, when you put yourself in the time, I'm sorry, Rick, I'm going to try to stay out of the presentation so you can see some of it. But in 1905, you got to put yourself back in that time in world conditions and things that were going on. They didn't have the connectivity that we have today. They didn't have the Facebook and the cell phones and the LinkedIn, obviously. So these people were really, truly trying to make connections. And oftentimes, you didn't have the opportunity to make those connections with people that were in a different field. Often, your circle tended to be around those who did what you did. If you went to the factory, you tended to have your social interactions with those people. If you were an attorney, you got to hang out with attorneys and those who needed attorneys. And so it was one of those things where your sphere was pretty small. And so the motivation was really to expand that circle. And so that'll tell you a little bit about the evolution as we move forward. They gradually extended throughout the nation, and they also wanted to get a mission. They wanted to have a purpose. And so they started talking about, okay, we're here, we're gathering, it's great to be connected and great to be social with one another, but what else could we do? These guys were leaders by nature, and so they thought maybe we can have an impact on our community as well. So these are the founding members. So Paul Harris and the founding members of Rotary. Obviously, everything starts small, right? So the humble beginnings, again, it was a social club. They did want to create this mission, so they talked about service above self, which we'll get to in a little bit. They also brought in, as you see somewhere around here, the four-way test, and we'll get into that a little bit too about what that means. And then it really started to grow internationally. The club took off in the United States, but then internationally, if you started thinking about the times, you're moving through the teens and the 20s. What happened during those times? What was going on? World wars, right? The world was in turmoil. And so the idea, that concept that those gentlemen started just in Chicago, there was a need for it around the world. And people latched onto that, thought this is a good concept. We need to connect people with diverse backgrounds. We need to do things to help one another. We really need to do things here locally that we can support our community, especially when a lot of people were going off to war and communities were left devastated by that. So this was a unique opportunity, and the timing was quite right. If you see the evolution, it's kind of hard to see on this I thought this little cartoon was fun because it started out as International Rotary and then International Rotary Association of Rotary Clubs, and now today it's what we know it as Rotary International. And the first convention here, International Convention in Chicago, had this number of attendees. We're almost challenging that number right here in this room. So again, it grows from that small seed into something quite incredible. So Rotary has 6 areas of focus, and I want to talk to you a little bit about the Rotary, and I'm going to test my fellow Rotarians on this too. And I'll tell you, I cheated a little bit because I wanted to go in and dig deep into the Rotary logo because it has evolved over time too. But who can tell me why we have, anybody know why we have this Rotary, what is that? Does anybody know what that is? It's a cog, right? It's a wheel. So there's a lot going on here though in this logo that relates to the foundation of Rotary itself. So the wheel, that circle, that bond, that continuation, that trust, that circle of friendship, that's part of that circle. That really ties to this inner circle. It's hard to see that, but if you look on your brochures, you'll see the logo. There's a keyhole here in the middle, and that keyhole represents the individual member. Your key in the center of the organization. Individual members and individual members' contributions and service really is key to Rotary's success. So it really starts right here in the middle with the individuals. These 6 posts, the outer circle, the cog, really, the circle was that unity and coming together and that continuation, that perpetual motion. But then the cog came in because the cog represents strength, that gear, that strength, that moving things through, actually propelling things. So the cog and the around the circle, that got added a little bit later. These 6 posts right here, the spokes, represent the 6 areas of focus for Rotary. So peace and conflict prevention, resolution, disease prevention and treatment, water sanitation, maternal and child health, basic education and literacy, and economic and community development. That's foundational to Rotary, international. And we do that on an international scale, a national scale, and then right here close to home, locally. One of the major initiatives that Rotary latched onto early was the eradication of polio. Now, some of us are lacking on top here, and what's left is gray, or those who use hair dye, you know, they're faking, but they really are gray underneath. I'm not going to point anybody out in the room, but I know, because I've known these guys for a long time, and I've tried it, and it just doesn't work. My son said when he goes, "What do you put on your driver's license when you go get that? What do you say is hair color?" I said, "Obviously gray." Because I think you should put flesh. I was like, okay, no more school for you. I'm not paying for anything anymore. But anyway, so you know, I always get a whoop in the crowd when you say that. So the polio, for my parents, in my parents' time, was a major issue, major scare. In the United States, we haven't thought about that in quite some time, right? There's things that used to be something that they worried about every day. We talked about the COVID and pandemic that went through, but can you imagine when polio was ravaging the world? But you know what? How many of you know that? How many have had a personal experience and know anybody that had polio? You did, and so it's really amazing that it's not that far away. It's not generations away. In fact, in 1988, this was the saturation of polio in the world. These gray areas, these shaded areas, where polio was still quite active. 1988. Now, if you were born after 88, we don't want to know that. But it was very, very prominent in the world. And Rotary saw this as an opportunity to have an impact. Locally, nationally, globally. That's where they thought they could latch in. So Rotary took that on as an initiative, helped vaccinations, get vaccinations into remote areas of the world, and it really became the End Polio campaign, and it's been a theme for Rotary for many, many years. This is what the map looks like today. That's what's left of polio. It's still active, still have it over in Afghanistan, Pakistan, certain areas. They're working on it. Rotary is currently deployed over there, working to immunize. I think the immunization right now today is, I think it's $3 per person. That's what an immunization costs, the Rotary the polio vaccine. And Rotary underwrites a lot of that through our foundation and our grants that we offer globally. But also, I think right now there's 1.3 billion people that actually have received the Rotary-sponsored polio vaccination. Okay, Rotary has 2 mottos. Now this is where the test comes in for my fellow Rotarians. They started from the very beginning, as I showed you on an earlier slide, but everybody knows the first one, right? Who knows it? Service above self. Who knows the second one? Did anybody know there were 2? Because you know what? I didn't know we had 2 official ones. I'd heard it before, but I didn't realize it was truly 2 official mottos. Anybody? I hear it.
It's not 4-way test.
Nope, that's not a motto, but it is a good guess. Do what Randy tells you. That's our club motto. That's our club motto. One profits most who serves best. So that started in 1922. One of the Rotary members added that in there, but that moniker they both kind of have held throughout the years. You just don't hear this one as often, but truly that's at the core of who we are and what we do. So one profits most, who serves best. Now I know that many of you have service at the core of your heart. There's this group of people that are in this room are involved in a lot of different things. In fact, don't take it personally, but there's going to be a large group of people that get up and bolt right at the end of this, because these guys have a CTE meeting at the end, right at the beginning of, what is it, you moved it to 8:15 today? So they had to probably move it to 8:15 because half the board is sitting in the room here. But the board for Keller ISD CTE, many of our Rotarians are very involved in that. I had the pleasure of being involved in that for many years and love that organization and love what you're doing in Northwest too. And so, you know, this group is very involved group of people. But we join together because we're united in service. Now, a little quick history here. Founded as a satellite club of the Keller Rotary Club in 2013, we got started. You might notice this young man right here. Don't pay attention to the other guy, but this young man right there is sitting right there. Okay? And he, Steve, was the president of the Keller Club. And I actually walked into Steve and I said, you know what? I was a member of that club. I said, I can't do this because I can't do the noon deal. It was in the middle of the day, so I'm gonna step out of Rotary. He said, he and another guy named Ross Patterson, he proceeded as was his predecessor as at the club as president, said, hey, we got an idea. We've always wanted to create a satellite club for our club and make it a breakfast club. So could you get a group of people together and start that? So really we have Steve to thank as the idea for getting the club going, and foundationally said, could you get together with a group of people and start that club? So we did, and we started as a satellite club of Keller, but then as we got going, we realized, okay, we could be our own club here, and so that evolved into what is now the Golden Triangle Rotary Club. We tried to be initially the Alliance Rotary Club, but then the Hillwood guys came and presented one day and said, nope, you can't be the Alliance Rotary Club, but you need to come up with a different name. So we sat together, and I'll tell you a little bit about that in just a moment, how we got that name. Currently at 30 members and growing, district governors at the time, then the Rotary president at the time that we chartered, and you might recognize this young man right here too. A little younger. So some of our charter members in the room, Harry, John, we are all here at the beginning. It was really fun to get this off the ground. These are pictures of our founding dinner and our chartering banquet. It was quite an effort because we needed to get 30 people. Rotary started, you saw, with just those few people in that one slide. But the requirement actually was to get 20 people before you could get started. We have this room full. If you might recognize, that's the old Shannon Brewery there. We had the reception banquet in the brewery, in the tap room. That was very appropriate for this club, by the way. I wanted to tell you about the Golden Triangle name. Once we learned we couldn't use the Alliance and we weren't going to be the satellite club for Keller, we were sitting around the table. We're like, okay, we need to come up with the right name. This gentleman right here, member of the Noon Club, said, this is Hank Harper. He said, "You're in the Golden Triangle. What a great name, Golden Triangle Rotary Club." And immediately we were all sitting there, we're like, that's it. That's perfect. And that's how our name started. So we have Harry to thank for that. So again, this was a very exciting evening. It's kind of a funny joke. As I was the charter president. They gave me this eagle, and I need to tell you that quick story on myself. But one of my pet peeves, which is actually appropriate today, is when we had this flag has been with us from the beginning, and it seemed like every time, again today, I didn't even look at this, so this wasn't a setup, but the eagle was always facing, looking the other way. And that made me crazy. I wanted the eagle to be facing the room. And it's like my pet peeve. And so they at the end thought that was a little funny, so they gave me an eagle that was permanently mounted on this award that looks forward all the time and isn't going to get turned around by somebody. But people go in my office now because I've told that story and they keep turning the eagle around. So, all right, I'm going to hand this over to my assistant membership chair. This is Tim James. So, Tim, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you. Actually, as a new member, I joined Golden Triangle Rotary Club earlier this year, and a lot of these events that
right click. No, it's upper right. Sorry.
Right.
There you go.
A lot of the events that so I moved to Keller in like 2000, and my kids are grown, they're out of college. Sorry, and I wanted to get involved in the community, and this is a great opportunity to do this. Some of the club activities that we do are, we attend a Memorial Day celebration at Mount Goliad Cemetery. And we, at that event, Ken used Alan's grill, and we grilled hot dogs and served and just provided water. Casey's Kids Fun Run, that's a great event to help children in need. Manny G's, if you haven't had a chance, I highly recommend it. It's a great way to hang out and build camaraderie with our team. Christ Havens for Children Fall Festival, and I know I think Autumn's employee there. Summer, sorry.
Right person, different season.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm a little out of it. It was a long week. Keller Holidays Parade. Felix was telling me about the float that we put together in that, and I haven't been involved in many of these, but a few of them I have, so I apologize I don't have a lot of input on these. The Veterans Pickleball Tournament, we support that. Wreaths Across America, I think that's a great event where we go out and put wreaths on the cemetery heads at Mount Goliad Cemetery. And then I was involved in a wine discovery casino night. It's a great event. We raise a lot of money that funds our club.
So let me add to that. So just a couple things. So we have a club foundation. Harry's the chair of that, and so we have charities that we support. We're going to tell you about that in a moment. But this casino night, we actually raise a lot of money to help underwrite those charities. When we started the club, we said, okay, just like the founders did, we said we got to have our service core here. What can we do here to impact the community? At the time, one of the founders of this club was the former director of athletics for Keller ISD, Bob DeYoung. And Bob, we were sitting around the table at another restaurant, not to be named, but down at the other end of this plaza. And we were sitting there and we said, okay, what can we do? And Bob said, do you realize that the need starts here? Rotary is about the community and starting with the foundation here. And do you understand that 40, and if I get this wrong, Dr. Westphal, correct me, but at the time, back in 2013 when we were having these talks, he said that at the time, about 24% of the students in Keller ISD lived at or below the poverty level. And then at that same time, and that's again back in 2013, which you might have more up-to-date numbers, but there was 49% of the students were on free or reduced lunch. He said, so you want to make an impact, let's start here. That was a shock to me. Keller resident, I'm thinking, wait a minute. He goes, you don't understand. The need starts here. And this is what this club needs to be all about. Is that right? Is that pretty current?
Keeps going up.
Keeps going up. So it's amazing, frankly. But the need does start at home. So that's why we got involved with Casey's Kids. That was the first thing we did. And Casey's Kids is a charity started by a counselor in Keller ISD. And we supported their fun run, which helps underwrite a lot of what they do, and it's incredible programs. But the counselors are the first line in the schools. They know, they can see, they watch the kids. These kids go home in the summertime during school. They can assure that they're going to get a meal, right? They're going to get a meal, and that might be their one best meal during the day. But the counselors have an eye on that, and the teachers, and those people know. And then they got together and said, okay, it was started as one person's idea. Again, starts with a small seed, right? It's that whole mustard seed concept. But Casey's Kids now is a charity, and we are honored to support their fundraiser. Christ Haven, again, you've heard about that festival. So the Veterans Pickleball Tournament is new. Veterans Day, well, we're going to right around Veterans Day, right? It's the 16th. So it's going to be close. So that'll be a fun thing to participate, first annual. So we're looking forward to doing that, and that's going to support veterans' efforts. Okay, I'll give this back to you.
You're on a roll. You should keep going. This is awesome. I'm learning more about the events that we support. I mean, like I said, I haven't been involved in a lot of them, but Felix is a wealth of information. So these are the focuses of our club. Hey, Felix, why don't you just finish this?
We're going to give Tim, I told you earlier about his mom passing this week, so we all want to keep him in his prayers, and he jumped in here. And so, but he also is a new member, and one of the reasons why he jumped in and wanted to be part of this is, he said he got motivated at a meeting just like this. He came in and said, I really want to be a part of something that does these things. So Tim jumps in and immediately he was involved. Immediately he said, I want to help and do different things. But there's something for everybody in this club. So as you saw the different activities, you may not want to participate in all of them, but you might latch on to something and say, you know what, I'd like to be part of a group that helps this different cause. So here you have the CTE scholarships. You heard about that. So we do a lot more with Keller ISD, but through the years as we've worked with CTE, we've helped fund and underwrite some scholarships for the students coming out of there, which is, if you haven't heard about this program, you need to talk to them, because I'm sure Northwest ISD is going to be almost as good as Keller's. Almost, right? Almost. No, we're going to support you equally. We love what you do, and we love CTE. We serving our seniors. I may not even have all of them on the list, because one of Christy's focus as the president of our club, the president kind of sets the mission for the year, and she wanted to narrow our focus so we could do more and add a lot of quality to what we're doing for the different clubs. But these are organizations that we've supported over the years, Meals on Wheels, little by little. Carter Blood Care will have blood. We actually have how many times do we do that a year?
Twice a year.
Twice? Three? Twice, 3 times. We're going to do it either 2 or 3 times this year. And we'll have the bus come up and we actually give blood. And they even take mine. So, the threshold is kind of, the threshold's low for what they'll accept. We have the Shelter Box program is actually a Rotary program. And actually it's going to be pretty active, I would imagine, right now. If you saw the disasters up in the Northeast. And, I listen to the news. I'm kind of a news junkie. But the stories were really, they're just devastating day by day by day. So we definitely have to keep those people in our prayer. But I can promise you in our prayers, I can promise you Rotary's on the ground there. Rotary's on the ground wherever there's trouble. But when people lose a shelter, they actually have a shelter in a box. We have warehouses around the world where they can deploy these shelters and come in to drop them into, when Haiti, when the devastating earthquakes there and other places where there's been devastation in the world, you'll see Rotary on the ground quickly. Yeah, of course you expect to see Red Cross, right? You expect to see FEMA here in the States, and you expect to see others. But a lot of people don't realize that Rotary's in there with them as well. The shelter box, you can actually have a shelter that's in there. There's cooking utensils, and there's other things to help you with day-to-day needs. And there's some pictures, and I know Joe and Alan and others who've been part of Rotary for a long time, Ken, we've seen pictures where they've actually had rows and rows and rows of shelter boxes deployed to support people and give them shelter. And I think the one that I recall was probably the biggest number of shelters amassed in one location was in Haiti when they had the devastation down there. And these shelters actually lasted those people for many, many months, almost a year. And so Rotary was again there on the ground, and we have those deployed around the world. And then the Rotary International Foundation, and then we also have we have our own Rotary Golden Triangle Foundation. So we underwrite the scholarships for CTE in the foundation. We do a lot of other things with our foundation money. And then we also, with the Rotary International Foundation, we all actually contribute to that foundation as part of the dues that we pay. And people also have an opportunity to give more. So you'll see some people around here that are Paul Harris Fellows. I didn't put my pin on this morning, shame on me. But you actually have, you can give at a certain level there, and that's your personal choice. But that money is all deployed throughout the world to support the foundation efforts through Rotary International.
Felix, I think it's appropriate to mention that the Rotary International Foundation has been for 14 years in a row the #1 rated foundation in the world by Charity International, the rating organization. So what that means is that the Rotary International Foundation puts more money donated to it into its actual projects than any other charity in the world.
That's exceptional. I'm going to say this, because one thing I didn't put up here that I should is the youth and the Rotary Youth Exchange too. Can you tell, and Steve is actually our regional director for the Rotary Youth, so can you give a little highlight of what we do there?
Sure. So Rotary has a number of youth programs. You've got Interact, which is high school students forming Rotary clubs and service in their high school. Timber Creek High School is a very active Interact club. We have RILA, which is the Rotary Youth Leadership Award.
That's a program in every district in Rotary where we have a intensive 4-day leadership training program for students, and it's all on a scholarship basis. So each club sponsors students to go to RILA. Then the last one is Youth Exchange. This is a program that was started as an outgrowth of World War II, the Cold War. Rotary had a big role in founding it. We finally wound up partnering with the State Department in the 1980s. And what this is a country-to-country program. There's 2 levels. There's short-term, which is family to family. So a student here gets matched with a student in another country. And this isn't just U.S., it's country to country around the world. So it could be Brazil to China. It could be Mexico to Germany. But this program is family to family, so a student in one country gets matched up with a student in another country. They get together in one of their home countries for 4 to 6 weeks, and then go to the other country for 4 to 6 weeks. It's a summertime program primarily, and it's an introduction to what the world is like for people who haven't traveled much in particular. Then the long-term youth exchange is for the school year. So we host an inbound student here in the club. Haven't this year, but Southlake has one, for instance, and they're going to Grapevine High School. They're from Brazil, the young lady's from Brazil. She'll be here for the entire school year. She'll live with 3 different families here in the U.S., experience life in our country and our culture. Similarly, outbound students from the U.S. go to other countries. So that's, like I said, a school year program. I don't know how to promote the program better other than to say that it's a peace initiative, it's a world understanding initiative, and people from around the world get to experience life in other countries and other cultures.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. You know what's really great is Ross Patterson, who was, as I mentioned earlier, who helped found this club. He actually, at the same time he was helping us get off the ground, he was helping a club get off the ground in Afghanistan. And Afghanistan was a war-torn area at the time. It was pretty dangerous for him to go into that area. He would fly over there at his own expense, but he got people involved in Rotary there. So, you know, at this point in the presentation, because I want this to be interactive, as I mentioned earlier, we just want to hit some highlights. It's hard to tell you what Rotary's all about because there's so much more that we can't say in a 30-minute presentation. But I would like to ask some of my fellow Rotary members, and I didn't tell them this ahead of time because I don't want anything to seem rehearsed. I want it to come genuinely from their heart. But if any of my fellow Rotarians would be willing to tell them why you got involved with Rotary and what Rotary means to you, I'd greatly appreciate that. Some of these guys have been around for a long time and been in the clubs and been in clubs other than our club and moved over to our club early on. So Alan, should we all start with I was having drinks with Ken? Some of it does start that way. You know, it's like the Manny G's that we talked about, we put that on there because, you know, we actually have had other clubs come to our club and say the one thing they love about our group is you guys enjoy each other's company so much, and you actually get together a couple times a week and you get together at Manny G's. Manny G's is just a happy hour. It's you know, where we get together socially and spend time together on Thursdays, Thursday evenings, and certainly not mandatory, but I can guarantee you that you'll see some people there, and it's just fun. I will tell you that some of my close friends in today are part of Rotary. The gentleman who got me involved in Rotary is a good friend who moved over to Dallas, but Chris Rakowitz actually said, hey, you know, you're doing these different things in the community, you need to meet this group of people. And I was like, okay, the last thing I need is another thing on my list, another club on my list. But then I got in there, and you meet these people that are like-minded, and their core, at their core, they want to serve others and help others. I thought, okay, you know, these are a group of people I want to be associated with. I got you, Scott. And then you realize that they're fun to hang around with too. Yeah, I was going to say, I'll follow that up with I love this group because it's exactly that reason. We're a group of like-minded individuals trying to make a difference in the community. You know, we come together, we put all of our strengths, connections, and capabilities together, and over the years I've seen a lot of good done by this group, and I'm glad to be part of it.
Yeah, so I'll be up front. I was guilted and shamed into into joining this club at Manny G's.
And you're still guilty, and you're still ashamed.
But yeah, basically at Manny G's, that's where this all goes down. And like you said, as people join us at Manny G's and everything, the little local dive bar that I like to say, has characters, not character, which gives it character. But either way, I quickly learned our club's motto, which is we're a drinking club with a Rotary Club. So
I didn't put that up here, Scott. That's not
I know you didn't put it up there.
I don't think
but
that's
it's
a really
unofficial
endorsed
right,
motto.
unofficial motto. But we're a club that has fun. And next thing I knew, after joining the club, I was saying, "Hey, why don't you be our president?" By the same two, by Alan and Ken. So they're complicit in all this.
Anybody else?
So I thought it was appropriate to follow Scott. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Michelle Sanford. We had a scouting event one night, and before the scouting event, Scott and Ken said, "Oh, hey, we have this Rotary get-together we need to go do first. Why don't you guys come with us?" So I saw a lot of these folks here, and while we were sitting there, Scott went, "Hey," and Ken both, "you should join Rotary." I said, "Okay." So I've done service since I was young. I was part of Junior Civitan when I was a kid, all the way up through college. I was in a service fraternity, Alpha Phi Omega, and I am very heavily involved as a scouting leader. So I thought, sure, I'll see what this is all about. And then I came here and I met these wonderful people that are all like-minded, and we're able to serve our community. And that's the one thing that I absolutely love. On top of that, when we had a need for our scouting units here in Keller, we had 5 of them that needed a new charter. There were some things going on with Scouting America at the time and some of the churches, and I came and said, okay, can we do this? There were a number of us that said, hey, what about Rotary? And so we charter 5 units here in Keller. We call them 1910 units. There's a troop, a crew, a ship, a pack, and a girls troop. So very thankful that I was able to be here and work with these folks to be able to do that too.
So we do support the 1910, that group. So this organization is a sponsor organization for those scouting groups as well. Yes,
I'm
sir.
just going to say I chaired the membership committee for Scouts for the council at that time, and I appreciate you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So I got into Rotary back in '84 in San Antonio, and was a member for about 12 years down there.
Paul Harris too, didn't you?
Yeah, I think he was in the club. No, but I came up here with IBM in '97, and I got in Rotary not because Ken invited me, but actually because of Felix and Alan. We worked together in Knights of Columbus over at St. Louis Nancy for years, doing various things and projects and service stuff. And so when I started my business and I wanted to get back involved in Rotary again, this is a natural club for me to get involved with because of Felix and Alan in leadership positions. And it's like, okay, even though I live in South Lake, I get razzed about that a lot. But anyway, it's a great club, and we do fantastic service projects. I was just going to mention we had one on the list here I got to participate in yesterday that I probably never would have gotten in if it hadn't been for this Rotary Club. But Serving Our Seniors had a little visitation day yesterday, and I got to go visit a little lady named Ann and her daughter and her son-in-law at her house in South Lake yesterday. I spent a few minutes with her and give her a flower and some donut holes and talk a little bit about where she came from in North Carolina that's flooded now. There's a little dementia, and it's just a neat thing to do that I never would have had an opportunity probably to do if I hadn't been for this club. So there's cool stuff going on here.
Awesome. So I'm getting a high sign from the president. And here's one thing: we keep the meetings tight. We stay to an hour, and then people will hang out afterward. But let's just talk about expectations real quick. So what is it? Okay, you're part of this club. What does it mean? What do you expect of me? What do I need to do? What we do is we meet weekly. They're not mandatory. The meetings aren't mandatory, but we try to be here. We try to get here on a weekly basis. So we meet every Thursday morning, 7 a.m. right here at DeVivo's. I want to give DeVivo's a big shout out for being our host. So we thank them all the time. They open up early. They get here early, and as you probably heard, and you see the plans on the wall, they're expanding next door. So we're going to have a little private meeting space here. I think they're going to be ready for that. Mary, when is it going to be done over there?
Our hopes and dreams that it's done between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
There you go. So we're expanding, they're expanding. We're very excited, but DeVivo's a part of the Rotary family as well. So We want you to engage, basically. That's it. We ask you to engage with your gifts, your passions, your talent, your experience. As someone said perfectly earlier, you're like-minded people that are coming here and bringing their contributions and service, and we just get involved in things that really motivate you, because I guarantee you there'll be something that this club does that will relate to what your passions are. We do have quarterly dues. It's $135, and that underwrites a lot of the things that we do. We talk about the foundation. We have local and district and international dues. So those are the things that we have an obligation. So there is a dues part of this. Not all free, but that money gets invested back into the different things that we do here in service, and we do that not only locally here, but throughout the world. So, questions here in our last few minutes. As I mentioned, you have a number of people in here that have another meeting that's coming up here, but you can tell them why they're a little bit late, right? They have an excuse. But any questions? Any questions? Anything that you heard this morning? And again, this is fast because there's so much more that we want to be able to share with you. There's a little brochure on the table that tells you a lot about our focus, which is service. And so there's information on the back, Tim's information, my information, if you'd like to chat a little bit further and chat with the person who brought you. But we'd love to have you join us. Again, if you want to come a couple different times just to try it out and see and meet it with us and hear some of the things that we do on a regular meeting day. We have great speakers. We learn a lot of things from other people in the community as they come in. We've had our superintendent, people from the school talk to us, police department, city, and then just other community organizations, as Joe mentioned, you never would have heard about unless you were here at these meetings. So, any questions? Questions? Anything I forgot?
No, I just want to put my 2 cents in. Thank you, Felix. If you have a question, raise your hand. We'll get your question answered.
Ken has a question.
I have a question, but we do close with the 4-way test.
Yeah.
It's like really hard to see if you're back here.
No, it isn't. Watch.
So, okay. I was gonna say it's also in here in the pamphlet.
Stealing my thunder, but it's here.
I just want to throw in my 2 cents of why I love Rotary. I'm the Rotary president this year. My best friends really are all sitting in this room, literally this morning, because I have my very best friend here visiting. So I'm a nurse by trade, but I don't do patient care anymore. So everyone knows this is what feeds my soul. I love that our group gets out into the community. We do fundraise and we support financially different organizations, as Felix mentioned, but a lot of what we do is blood, sweat, and tears. Like, we like to get out and do stuff and be hands-on. So if you really want to serve with people that you enjoy being around, this really is the place to be. And we'd love to have you join us, visit, be a part of us. It's a fantastic group of people and a great organization, locally and internationally. So thank you guys for being here this morning.
So let's
and
end
I'm
it.
going to give this to Felix to finish up.
So we're going to all do it together, okay? So we always stand when we do the 4-way test. Oh, we got to do Rotary, or the lottery, sorry. I'm in. I have a horse in the race here, so who doesn't have a ticket? There you go. Brandy can join. $229. There we go, Steve.
Cards are on the table, Steve.
So here's how this works. So you have a chance to win. So he didn't win yet. So he gets to go over there and he draws either an ace or a joker. We put money in the hat. The tickets are $1 each every week. This money goes into our foundation. So if he draws an ace, he got a queen. So he's a loser, and we all cheer that because the pot just gets bigger. The pot continues to get bigger. So if he draws, which I get him back.
If he draws an ace, he gets half of half, and we keep going. We draw a joker, it's half and half, and it's over, and we start over. So as we keep going, the number of cards come out, the chances go up, but the pot gets bigger every week too.
So once the ticket is pulled, and somebody wins, the next week I win because there's nothing in the pot when I win. So, all right, we're going to stand and we're going to end our meeting with a 4-way test. And so if you'll join me, Rotarians, the 4-way test of the things we think say or do. First, second, third, fourth. Thank you very much, and we ring our bell at the end, and we always say the service begins when the meeting ends. So thank you all very much for coming today. Thank you.